525 BC. 50,000 soldiers are crossing the Sahara Desert. They are armed, disciplined, and marching under the most powerful king on earth. They are never seen again. Not one body, not one sword, not one sandal. But what most people don't know is that this army wasn't just lost, they were erased. And someone may have wanted it that way. At this point in history, Persia owns the world. Cambyses II has just conquered Egypt, something no foreign king had managed in centuries. His empire stretches from India to the Nile. He is untouchable. But there is one problem. Deep in the western desert, at a place called Siwa, there is an oracle, a priest. And that priest has publicly declared that Cambyses is not a legitimate ruler, that the gods themselves reject him. To a king like Cambyses, this is not a religious inconvenience, it is a political threat. You cannot rule a God-fearing civilization if the gods are openly against you. So he does what kings do. He sends an army to silence it. 50,000 men, the finest soldiers in the Persian Empire. They march west from Thebes into open desert. No one thought to ask what happens if the desert doesn't want them there. The army sets out in early spring, smart timing for desert travel. They reach the oasis of El Karga without incident. Supplies are still holding, morale is high. Then they keep walking. What most people don't know is that the next leg of the journey, from El Karga to Siwa, is roughly 300 miles of open, featureless sand. No landmarks, no reliable water, just heat, wind, and silence. Ancient accounts say they made it about halfway. That's when the storm came. Herodotus, writing 75 years later, describes it simply: a wind from the south, strong and deadly, bearing with it whirling pillars of sand. The army was buried. All of them. Instantly. But here is where it gets strange. A sandstorm, even a catastrophic one, doesn't make 50,000 men simply vanish. Storms bury things, they don't erase them. Survivors scatter, equipment surfaces. Bodies decompose, but bones remain. For 2,500 years, archaeologists found nothing. No mass grave, no scattered armor, no Persian arrowheads in the sand. Which raises a question historians have quietly debated for decades. What if some of them made it? What if the army didn't die in the desert, but disappeared into it? There are theories: rebellion, desertion, an entire army that chose to vanish rather than carry out an order they considered cursed. We have no proof. But we also have no bodies.
In 2009, 2 Italian archaeologists announced they had found the army. Bones, hundreds of them, Persian-era weapons, bleached white and half-buried near Siwa. The world paid attention for exactly 1 week. Then, the Egyptian government said the find hadn't been verified. Then other archaeologists raised questions. Then the story quietly died. The bones were never formally excavated. They are still out there. Cambyses never rebuilt the army. He never sent another expedition to Siwa. He died the following year, under circumstances that were, to put it gently, suspicious. The oracle he tried to destroy? It survived him by nearly 1,000 years. Alexander the Great visited it in 331 BC and was declared a son of the gods. The very legitimacy Cambyses tried to crush ended up crowning his conqueror's successor. The desert kept its secret, and the silence was its own kind of answer. If 50,000 men can vanish without a trace, it means either nature is more violent than we remember, or someone, somewhere, made sure they were never found. Both answers should make you uncomfortable. This story gets buried in footnotes. A minor campaign, a historical footnote, a sandstorm. But 50,000 people don't disappear. not without a reason. History is full of gaps that aren't accidents, they are decisions. If you want to keep digging into the stories that never made it to the textbooks, subscribe. We find one every week. And tell me in the comments, do you think the army died in that storm, or do you think something else happened out there?